Anyway.
All right. Let's make this episode.
Let's do it. Oh, yes. But yeah, anytime there's a movie coming out or whatever that you're super excited for, like, I mean, obviously Scream. We're going to do Scream. And we got to do those commentary tracks,
and the commentaries.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, like, I was thinking about that because with that in particular... And, you know, I can probably just bring this up in the episode. So I'll just bring us in and we'll do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Mike White at I am Mike White on Twitter.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello, and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com and more podcasts presented by Obsessive Viewer at ObsessiveViewer.com/podcasts. And if you'd like to support what we do here, you can become a patron at Patreon.com/ObsessiveViewer, where we have several different tier levels for that content there. So if you pay $1 per month, you get access to, at this point, just over 150 exclusive B-roll episodes. It's mostly us just kind of farting around, but also covering some topics and everything. And at the $2 per month level, you get access to that, plus TV and book reaction episodes. And so I've been doing episodes of Chapelwaite reviews. I did a full series on Midnight Mass, and then I'm currently doing Foundation, and I'm going to be doing Invasion soon on Apple TV Plus. So there's a lot of stuff there. And I'm also working on a book reaction review of The Green Mile, which I'm recording in parts, and I'm super excited about that and everything. And then at the $5 level, you get access to all of that, plus commentary tracks, which we have like 17. We have like a total of like 22 commentary tracks up there. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep punching them through.
It's awesome. And at the $1 level, by the way, at the beginning of this episode, we recorded a fun podcast where we got to come up with a game where, like, how long it takes us to mention our freshman year of college. And we reminisced on music a little bit.
Yes.
I talked a little about Andrew McMahon and his new book. So check that out if you're interested in more of Matt and I just rambling.
Absolutely.
And then at the $5 level, I did an episode of the Halloween 2018. And if you want to get in beforehand, Matt and I are going to do the Scream franchise before Scream parenthetical 5 is released in January. So those are going to be really fun. I love recording those. And if you like those movies and following along, be sure to subscribe.
Yes, absolutely. And also at the $10 level, to speak about the $1 level thing, $10 level gets access to everything, plus early access to content and unreleased content as well. So $10 level, like this episode is going up next week. The $10 level has had access to this episode and the pre-recorded the Patreon stuff as well, all in one big file for a week now. So, you know, consider that as well. All the funds go to paying the fees to keep the podcast running and a little bit toward paying my rent sometimes. But but it's a labor of love, and I'm super excited to share all of this content with you. And again, that's at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. I'm your host, the aforementioned Matt Hurt, and with me today, I have not updated my notes here. With me today is
Tiny. You haven't even like edited your
right. This is from episode 354. It's like with me today, making her first appearance on the Obsessive Viewer is one of the hosts.
Beautiful, lovely, and talented.
Right? Mike White.
It's me.
Yeah. So we have here a Mike White he has entered the chat. Mike. Who is one of the OG co-hosts of Obsessive Viewer, making his triumphant return and everything.
That's right.
How are you doing this evening, Mr. White?
I'm good. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Feeling good. I've been excited about this episode. We're going to see Dune tomorrow, which we put off seeing like during Shocktober.
I was wondering.
So it my mind is fresh for this episode. It's been nothing but Shocktober. since the last time I was on, so I'm excited to break down Shocktober.
Sweet. I do have a couple of things that I want to bring up beforehand. One of which is Dune. Sure. Just out of curiosity, where are you at in your? Like, you're gonna see it tomorrow, and I mean, I thought it was good, but I'm not trying to butter you up or anything. But like, where are you at with Dune? Like, are you excited to see it? Is it something that's like, oh, I'm gonna see it for the end of year?
Yeah, well, I'll say I'm more a fan of Denis Villeneuve than I am of like the Dune property.
Sure. Have you read any of it?
Like that? No, I haven't. I haven't read the books. I did not see the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
This might come as a surprise, but it's not something that has interested me, really.
That is interesting.
I know, despite it being super high concept sci-fi with fantasy elements. I mean, it looks like a higher brow Star Wars.
And that's kind of where I was leading you to, because because I've seen articles.
Well, we don't like to talk about Star Wars on this podcast anymore.
Finally, but it only took a J.J. Abrams to break the spell.
Yeah.
But no, I had read articles about, or I saw like one article where it was like the standard, like anytime there's like a big sci-fi property or it's a success or anything, or a hybrid of genre and everything, there was an article that was like, does Dune's success mean that the Dark Tower can be properly adapted now? And I'm like,
gosh, you guys.
Yeah. And like, as someone who like, I would say I'm in like the top like 1% of people who would like kill to have a good Dark Tower movie or adaptation.
Yeah.
But also I'm like, you guys are deluding yourselves with this, because it like, okay, just because something is science fiction and has like a desert template and everything, that does not mean that the world is ready for the Dark Tower, or that or that it should be just rushed into production. But the thing that kind of I don't know, got in my craw about that was that they were like, well, this means that it could be good. It could be ready for, the world could be ready for the Dark Tower. And I'm like, I mean, no, like, just think about what Dune is. And like, Dune is, and it's easy to say this in hindsight and everything, but like, I feel like Dune was pretty much predestined to be at least a pandemic success. Because it's, I mean, if you look at it, it is a science fiction movie with fantasy elements set on a desert planet that the source material heavily influenced George Lucas to make Star Wars. It was one of his influences and everything. There are elements of Dune. I mean, Dune is basically uses the same like Joseph Campbell hero's journey kind of thing as Star Wars. I'm like, that's why it's a success. It's not an anomaly that, oh, this property is a success now. It's like, it's because the thing that it influenced was a massive success too. And I don't know, I just feel like people thinking that, oh, the Dark Tower is ready. I'm like, it's not going to happen. It's not. Don't get your hopes up, guys.
And it's just so highly, highly unrealistic that they would try to reboot it 5 years after the one failed.
I would say I would agree, but they already tried.
Oh, the series?
Yeah, the series on Amazon Prime. Which I think that was only because Jeff Bezos was like, I'm gonna make a Lord of the Rings thing. I'm gonna make a fantasy epic on Amazon Prime. So I'm gonna buy up Lord of the Rings, Wheel of Time, and the Dark Tower. And the Dark Tower just did not order it to series.
Yeah. That sucks.
Sorry, it's a bummer. It's fine. I've got the books. It's fine. It's not.
But anyway, I'm really. I feel like maybe I'm not as excited as I should be about this. And you know what? I have a feeling when it's over tomorrow, I'll be singing a different tune.
Interesting.
So I'm looking forward to that. But for a couple years, I was like considering calling Denis Villeneuve like my favorite director, because he put out Prisoners, which is one of my favorite movies of the last decade. Arrival, which is one of my favorite movies of the last decade. I also loved Enemy. Blade Runner was in my top 10 the year it came out.
It was my number one that year.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for him to go like back to Earth today. You know what I mean? He makes great sci-fi work,
Mhm.
and I liked Blade Runner a lot, and I
Yeah.
love Arrival.
Mhm.
But man, I think he could make another thriller
Oh,
or drama, and I'm looking forward to that.
100%. What'd you think of Sicario?
It wasn't for me.
Okay, me
It
neither.
wasn't for
Honestly,
me.
me
Yeah.
neither. Yeah. But what's funny about that, or about you saying that you want him to go back, is that I read this on like the IMDb trivia or something for Dune, but so I don't have like a hard citation for it. But like apparently he had said that like, oh, I made like he is considered Dune to be his passion project. Like that is the thing that he's wanted to make for his entire career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he loves the source material so much. It's something that's been so pivotal to him. So like there's like I don't know if there's a direct quote, but apparently he has said that like, yeah, and so I kind of made Arrival in Blade Runner 2049 as kind of cutting my teeth in science fiction.
Here's my pitch.
Yeah,
here's
my proof of concept for Dune. And I'm like, so you made two of the best science fiction films of the last decade, one of which being a sequel to one of the most celebrated science fiction movies of the last 3 decades, all just as practice for Dune.
Give me Dune.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, I don't use this expression a lot, but as the internet say, the big dick energy of that is like off the charts.
Yeah. It is.
So yeah,
it is. But I will say, and I know I'm just a fan, and I have a bias toward it. I still think Prisoners is his best work.
I need to rewatch Prisoners and Arrival.
I always find that like characters are my favorite part of a movie. Like when a character is rich and complex. That's not to say that the characters in Arrival and Blade Runner are not complex, but the depth you get to see in so many different characters in Prisoners, that's really a work of art to me.
Absolutely.
It's weird. Again, Arrival also moves me incredibly.
Yeah.
And Blade Runner is also fantastic, but I just think Prisoners is so special in a way that, there's a quality to it I can't exactly put my finger on that just moves me in a different way.
Nice. Yeah, I need to revisit that and Arrival, because those are two that I haven't seen in recent years. But like, I mean, just the talent on display is amazing. But I'm very curious what you think of Dune. And just to say, I do have, let's see, a parking lot special on Patreon. I can send to you. Then I have a written review that I'm not proud of because I feel like I don't know. I was still processing the movie. And then also we did an episode last week about it. So just saying, if you want to check those out and everything. And I'm going to try, I'm very much going to try to do a commentary track for it. So
good to know.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I can certainly promise you this. You will be the first person I text.
Nice.
But all the other stuff, we'll see.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah. I'll send you the Google Drive links and everything and then pester you about it. Yeah. And then the second thing I wanted to bring up, and then we can get into our Shocktober potpourri.
By the way, there are some people who call this, there's like 3 people who've called this International Thank You Jade Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Well, it's November 3rd, and we had a song called November 3rd.
Oh, okay.
And so
I don't know if I ever heard that song.
It's not great.
Did I? Oh, okay.
It's okay. I don't mean to. Gosh, I sound like a real a-hole here. It's one of the few songs from our first album that was not written by Dustin or by me.
Oh, interesting.
And so I think you can tell.
Gotcha.
But anyway, November 3rd. It was a popular song for 2 years.
Nice.
Anyway, so go ahead. What were you saying?
Dating around in high school.
Yeah, that's right.
Check out Patreon, guys.
Yeah.
But the second thing I was going to bring up, and I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't talk about this, and I don't have it queued up or anything, but the trailer for Scream.
Yeah.
Let's talk about where we're at with Scream 2022 and just Yeah, because I went to the theater. I saw Antlers in the theater, and then I also saw Last Night in Soho in the theater. Both times I saw the trailer for Scream on the big screen, and I was just like,
okay.
every time I think about Scream, every time I think about this movie, I'm just amazed that, like, especially for like me and you, like, there is going to be a Scream movie in theaters within the timeline of our friendship. And within, well, because we were friends when
Scream we were 4, friends with 4
in the timeline of, in the podcast timeline of us.
Gotcha.
So we're
gonna have a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah.
I
was gonna say, I didn't consider you a friend until 2012. Just not the case, I promise.
We didn't really connect until then.
But that Scream trailer, how do you feel about it? Have you watched it a lot, or are you avoiding?
I don't know why I chose to watch it. I didn't watch the Halloween trailer at all when that came out. But I just decided to. Like, in fact, I just watched it on YouTube the day it dropped while I was at work. But then I did get to see it again before Antlers.
Nice.
And I think it looks like so much fun. It's interesting. I really liked 4.
Me too.
Quite a bit, and I still do, and I revisited it recently, and it still holds up pretty well.
I think it also is kind of a rare movie for me where it kind of improves over time. Like, revisiting it.
Oh, really?
Like,
interesting.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Scream 4. You know, they're doing the whole reboot thing and everything, and they're being meta about that. But then, like, when I see it again, I'm like, this is actually, like, when you get past the, maybe not gimmick of that, but when you get past the stylistic choice of that and how it can be kind of a gimmicky thing, like, I'm actually kind of really on board with it. Like, it's, I don't know. I would rank it above 3 for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I know you love 2, but for me, it rivals 2 at least.
Nice.
So I like 4 a lot. And I remember, I mean, I'm mostly excited for Scream 22. But I will say there is part of me that's like, what are they saying this time?
Yeah.
You know, how is this one going to set it apart? And I'll talk about what I liked about the trailer in just a second, because there's plenty to like. I'm extremely excited. But I will say the trailer didn't do much for me in terms of, like, explaining why this one exists in a world where 4 exists.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, if there were no 4, I would be at a fever pitch now.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The idea that this is happening again, like, rather than, like, a reboot, we're now getting, like, the legacy sequel idea. You know, they're using the same name. It almost would fit better now if there were no
Scream
11.
4.
Scream 4. So I'm just curious to see. I don't think the trailer explained to me enough why this one exists.
Right. And I feel like they have said that the trailer is intentionally misleading, so it's not giving away hardly anything that it seems to be giving away.
I hope that that's true.
I hope so too, because, like, I've noticed things in the trailer that I'm like you, I was adamant that I was like, I'm not going to watch the trailer. I'm just not going to watch it. I'm going to avoid it as much as possible. And then I woke up that day, I think it was like a Sunday or something, and I knew it was going to be released online and everything, and I was just like, it's fine. I'm not going to watch it.
Why not?
3 minutes, literally 3 minutes. I clicked the link and I was like, oh, okay, I've waited long enough. But I was like, I'm only going to see it one time. And then now I've seen it 3 times because of the trailers in the
Well,
theater.
I'm going to try not to dissect it like I did with the Scream 4 trailer back in the day. But anyway, all that said, I think the cast looks interesting. It looks, the color grading and tone looks similar to 4.
It really does.
It's polished. It doesn't look as, like, greasy as 4 did. You know what I mean? It had that, like, shine to it. Some scenes, right? It doesn't so much have that. But man, when you see Sydney and she turns around, you know, at the beginning, and she's on the phone, and your heart just is a flutter all over again.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I think, you know, aging David Arquette, or at least not making him look younger.
Right.
Yeah. He looks fantastic. Like, I like that they're aged. I like that they look older now. And that there really is a sense. I don't know. It's so hard. Again, I love 4, but like seeing it, part of me wished like there wasn't a 4, and that we were seeing these characters for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah, man. When you put it like that, I can't imagine how just freaking amazing that would be.
Right? Isn't that a weird? That's a weird stance to have. I don't want less of a thing that I love,
right?
Especially if I like almost all of it.
Yeah.
I don't love 3, but
right.
I like 4 a lot. But there's a gravitas. I think there's an element taken away from Scream 22 that is odd to me.
Sure. The thing that I kind of found myself really being like I had this reaction to it. Like I have faith that it's going to be a good movie. I'm going to go into it optimistically and everything. Something about the trailer that I find really interesting is the just complete lack of any movie references, any meta, anything. Like,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, like, there are little, like, visual things, but they're, like, internal visual things. Like, it's, like, you see a certain set from, you see a house. And it's oh, okay. But it's not like they're not riffing on horror movies or anything. So I'm curious.
It almost, it makes you wonder if part of the idea of this reboot is a tonal reboot.
Is
that kind of, which I would welcome.
I would be a little bit nervous about that, but only because, it's so. But then again, like, I feel like Scream 3 dragged that meta stuff down into the ground so hard.
Yeah.
And it was redeemed with Scream 4 just because that became the meta commentary. Like, Stab became meta with Scream, and like that's still kind of like I don't know. But also another like very minor thing that I noticed that I picked up on is that I don't know what significance this is or anything, but I thought it was interesting that they refer to there are a couple of times in the trailer where they're like, oh, there have been this many attacks. There's been this attack. It feels different. This is an attack, and I'm like, that's weird because that's weird terminology for that. I don't know, but yeah, yeah, I don't know. But like I said, they've said that the trailer is intentionally misleading, and also kind of probably my final thought about it until we do like commentaries galore and everything. That shot of the shadow of Ghostface on the wall.
Yeah,
I'm getting chills. Like I am.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it again before bed. Now that you mention it,
it's just like that. Like that. Oh, it's just I'm like that alone. I'm like I can't wait. And then so.
It's awesome. Yeah. Scream is I mean it's obviously so important to both of us.
Yeah.
And really, listeners, I don't want to like pitch Patreon too much, but we are going to have a blast with these commentaries.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
If you really want to see us
pitch Patreon as much as you want.
if you want to see us geek out to a level that you might not have believed that we could go, check out those commentaries coming soon.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, what was I going to say? What Scream does for me in a way that a lot of other of my favorite movies don't is like I'll watch a movie hoping to like conjure that feeling that it gave me the first time, and so many of my favorites don't, and I like have to appreciate them in a different way. Like, I watched Pulp Fiction a month ago, 6 weeks ago, so September 24th.
No, nice.
And it's great. I mean, it's a 5-star movie and everything, but it didn't punch that nostalgia. I didn't interesting. I didn't tingle watching it like I have, but Scream still makes me tingle. Like the scenes that I want to work. And so when you mention, the shadow of Ghostface, his whatever hands cut above his head, it's like that feels like a Tingles moment.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is a deep cut. It feels like a Teaching Mrs. Tingle moment.
Oh jeez.
Because Kevin Williamson wrote Teaching Mrs. Tingle.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah. Which I think I saw when I was a kid, but I've not seen it ever since.
Yeah, I never saw it.
Yeah. Shall we begin our Shocktober potpourri?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
This is why we're here, man.
Yes. How are you on time? Because we had an agreed time.
No, I'm good. Yeah,
Okay.
let's go for. You can edit this out, but we can. Let's see where we're at in 30 minutes. If we feel like what we've meant to say. And then if we need to go till 9:30, we can be all right.
Okay.
It'll be all right.
I was also going to suggest, if the time crunch is a time crunch, we could also set aside some time when you have time in the next few days or whatever to do maybe a one-on-one Dune thing if you want to talk about Dune or anything that we missed.
It's possible. I probably I won't be free until next week, and by then I feel like it won't be fresh anymore.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay. So we are going to commence with our Shocktober wrap-up episode. Shocktober potpourri.
Let's do it.
Potpourri.
Shocktober.
Yes.
Peacocktober.
Oh, God.
Which I used
Which is
during...
a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny pro tip for those who have Peacock and do not want to upgrade to the ad-free version of it and don't mind watching Peacock on a web browser. Apparently, I've found this to be true. If you load up Google Chrome, if you have an ad blocker on Chrome, at least the one that I have, if you load up Peacock, it'll when you load up a show, it'll pop up and say please disable your ad blocker so that you can enjoy Peacock content the way it's meant to be or whatever. And then that's all
with commercials.
Yeah, and then all you have to do is click dismiss, and it does not do any ads.
Weird
at all.
That's cool.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there just rewatching The Office, it was on Netflix. But yeah,
that's awesome.
So pro tip for anyone there. But so Mike, we have here Shocktober. We go way back with Shocktober and everything. What? Let's kind of do an overview. How was your Shocktober 2021?
Successful.
Nice.
So not through the roof, not an all-timer by any means, but so last year I wanted to go all out. Really the last 2 years. So 2019 and 2020, I wanted to watch nothing but my favorite horror movies.
Nice.
Pick from my top 100 so that I wasn't watching garbage horror movies.
Sure.
And last year I watched, close to 50. The year before that, it was 43 or something like that. So a lot. And coming into this year, out of quarantine, we had a camping trip planned over the Halloween weekend. So I knew we had a couple things to do. I wanted to make sure that my goal wasn't to watch one every single day.
Nice.
But I still wanted to watch a total of 31.
Okay. Gotcha.
Part of the Shocktober plan is making sure I mortgage that time with my wife and the kids, and they're a little older now, so we try to plan stuff to do with them.
Sure.
In the past, we would go camping and I would watch a horror movie on my iPad, and it was I would either have to sneak away for 2 hours in the middle of the day or stay up later than everybody in the camper watching it, and it's just not. It's not ideal camping, and it's not ideal movie watching. So my goal was to watch 31 in the span of the month, and I hit 31 on Halloween night. So it was what I wanted. Yeah, there was rarely any give or take. I watched The Iron Giant on the 9th, which is the only non-horror movie. Yeah, right. Well, yeah, we watched it with the kids. They loved it.
Nice.
And so 32 movies total in that month. 31 total movies, 32 viewings, one of which was the Iron Giant, and one of which was a second viewing of Halloween Kills.
Nice.
Which I counted both of those viewings as two separate Shocktober experiences. So I guess I only took in 30 movies, but 31 viewings.
Gotcha.
If you count Halloween Kills twice. So successful. Not surprising. I didn't break any records or surprise myself, but I had a goal and I hit that goal, so I feel very good about that.
That's awesome.
What about you?
I'm very proud of you, Mike.
Thanks, man.
I don't have the numbers, but I do have my diary in front of me on Letterboxd. Letterboxd.com/obsessiveviewer. So I watched, in terms of Shocktober viewings, which I just count as horror movies, obviously in the month of October, with one in November, just because I'm going to cheat. But I've got 1, 2...
Well, hey, if we're cheating... I mean...
13, I think, unless I miscounted. Okay. 13, which isn't bad. For me, not bad. Especially since this is like the first time in a while that I've actually like made some kind of effort.
We didn't even do this episode last year.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
Not even the year before, honly.
Right. Yeah, so, I don't know that we did.
Yeah. But I will say that it was kind of rough honestly, the last 5 were
they
just
bad?
Rough. Yeah, I could not connect to them really at all.
So which 5? Give me your last 5.
Okay, we've got, in chronological order from when I saw them, which I was also thinking of throwing an Audible and like trying to transition this episode into a review of Antlers and maybe Halloween Kills, and then doing potpourri for the rest of it. But we don't need to do that. We're deep. We're
in it
committed.
now.
Yeah. But the last 5. I watched Last Night in Soho. Then I watched, which I'll spoil it. I gave 3 stars out of 5.
Okay.
But it was like a somewhat reluctant, like it was 3 stars, but no like heart. I didn't like the movie, but I respected certain aspects of it.
Sure.
So Last Night in Soho, and then that was on.
It's exactly how I feel about Baby Driver.
Oh yeah,
I was like every Edgar Wright movie.
Yeah, every Edgar Wright movie after. After the Cornetto trilogy, even during the Cornetto, like after Hot Fuzz. During. Yeah. Because I have not rewatched The World's End since me, you, and Tiny recorded a review of it in 2013.
No, yeah.
So
me neither.
Yeah. So anyway, Last Night in Soho, that was on October 30th. So October 31st, I was like, okay, I've got Monday off. And Halloween is on Sunday. I'm going to order pizza. I'm going to just watch horror movies and everything.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, I only got 3 movies watched.
Hey, man.
Yeah. It's fine.
More than a lot of people watched on. It's more than I watched on Halloween.
Nice. But those 3 movies were Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, which I had not seen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then
I would have told you not to watch that.
Honestly, I rated that 1.5 stars. And then I followed that up with, of course, Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. Again, 1.5 stars. And then to round out Halloween, I gave 2 stars to Paranormal Activity, Next of Kin. And I honestly, I'm done with that franchise. Yeah, I can't.
Sorry it took you so long.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Like, the marked ones came out in 2014, and like that's when I was like invested in the franchise, and then I just never got around to it. And like that's when found footage fatigue was setting in and everything. But like going back to it and only watching these 3, I did not watch any of the rest or anything. I had this idea that, I'll do commentary tracks for all of them in the lead up to Next of Kin.
No.
Yeah. And
Is Next of Kin number 6?
7. It's number 7. Yep.
Oh my.
We've got Paranormal Activity 1 through 4, and then the marked ones, Ghost Dimension, and then Next of Kin.
Interesting.
Yep. And then we have 8 coming out next year, I guess.
No.
Which I don't know if this is official or not, but the plot summary on IMDb says like, we'll finally know the truth about Toby and the demon and everything. And I'm like, what? Like, that's what I kind of and I guess I'm going to transition into talking about these movies real quick.
Sure.
But that's what I kind of realized about these movies, is that I still love the first Paranormal Activity. And I love that specifically because it tells this interesting story that's terrifying. Like it captures this idea of like what happens when you're asleep. Like it's the same reason why Nightmare on Elm Street is so interesting to me, because it is being attacked by horror and death and everything when you are literally at the most vulnerable state you can ever be in.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I love that idea and that concept, especially in Paranormal Activity, where you're seeing it happen. You're seeing this thing in the real world happen to these people. But the most important thing that I find about Paranormal Activity 1 is the way that it just completely feels like it's probably not this deep, but to me, it's like this very interesting deconstruction of this relationship between Mika and Katie. And like, there are like little things here and there, like she feel like it's because he's a skeptic and she believes that, you know, she's haunted and everything. And like, there are little things here and there that are like subtleties that I don't think maybe I'm projecting onto it. But like, there's a moment where she, when she's talking to the psychic that they bring in, and she starts to say oh yeah, when this happened I was just like, oh my god, and then she immediately says like, oh my gosh, and it's just like this like very, very thin thing of like, oh, she has like this faith or something, or she has this, that's communicating that she's taking it seriously, and Mika not taking it seriously, being kind of an ass throughout the entire movie, is what's causing this rift. And I just love that. Yeah. And then what every single sequel to this movie does is just concentrates on the Paranormal Activity and does like enriching the lore and the mythology. And I'm like, I don't care about this. Give me interesting characters. Yeah. And then what I found just hilarious about the marked ones is that it doesn't even understand what is good about the movies, because there is not a single like night one activity thing. Like they do not do anything with like people sleeping or anything.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, in the marked ones, I'm like, that's like, there's a little bit of like, there's a line of dialogue that's like, yeah, you're walking around at night, and then it's just like, okay, that's it, that's all we get. I'm like, that's the scariest part of the movies. But yeah,
so highly recommend those. So some of my favorites were
yes. Oh, I will say Next of Kin.
Well, that was a wasted night, man. That sucks.
And like
wasted Halloween.
Yeah. Next of Kin is kind of interesting, and it's like, it's very loose in terms of found footage. Like it skirts that line, because like they have like drones and they do like it's a mockumentary almost, which is kind of nice. Interesting. Yeah, but also I'm just like, I don't give a shit about any of these characters. I don't care about anything going on, and it was a drag. So yeah. So what did you think of your Shocktober?
Yeah, well, so I'll just kind of start, and I kind of want to go through each one and just touch upon them.
Oh yeah.
And when we get to 10 or whatever, we can kind of
switch off,
take a break. So in September, I saw Malignant, which you guys already reviewed. Yeah. I liked it very much.
Yes.
James Wan he just continues to be the master. And, you know, he'll reinvent a genre, and then he'll watch everybody imitate it. And then he'll be doing, the genre will be doing something with its left hand, and he'll be over here saying, look at my right hand.
Yep.
He's so good at that. And just his version of a giallo, like the opening bit of it, I was like, is this movie stupid, or does he know exactly what he's doing?
Yeah.
And by about 15 minutes, I was like, oh, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yep. The style of that, goddamn, it's
great. Yeah. That's one I'm very excited to watch again. I need to.
I will say, if it's gonna come to HBO Max again, I would assume.
I think so, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just throwing this out. I know we've got a lot on our plates and everything, but I mean, a commentary track would be fun.
Add it to the list.
Nice.
I saw an anniversary showing of Carrie, and then on October 1st, Amanda wanted to watch one together. Like, we wanted to kick it off together. So we watched It 2017.
Nice.
Which is just still so great.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 2, or on October 2nd, I watched Saint Maud, which was one of the 3 I kind of recommended like as my best ones.
Nice.
So I'll focus on Saint Maud for a second.
Mm-hmm.
It's a, kind of one of these plotting, it's a A24 picture.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you know what that means. If people know what that means.
Oh yeah.
Very, very anxiety inducing. It was one, I think I remember seeing the trailer for it like 2 years ago before COVID.
Right.
And it was finally released on demand and then Hulu recently. And it's great. And just, I don't want to spoil too much.
Okay.
Man, I want to say so much, but I really feel like going in as blind as possible helps. And I'll just say, so she is like a nurse. She's like a caretaker who's also extremely devout. And she goes and she takes on a job of a woman who is not devout. And then Saint Maud, gosh, how do I say without spoiling? Saint Maud, Maud might not be like who he thinks she is.
Okay.
But she's definitely an intriguing character. And just her journey and I'll say descent was fascinating and terrifying and it was awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then on the 3rd of October, I watched Annihilation.
Nice.
Right? Yeah, which is Alex Garland's. Natalie Portman continued to like it. I think it was only the second time I've seen it since theaters.
Oh, interesting.
Loved it.
It's a trippy movie. Yeah.
It is. And then on the 4th, I watched 3 movies that day. I had the day off of work. I watched a really cute, like romantic comedy horror called Spontaneous.
I've been wanting to see that, and I know it's on like Amazon Prime now. Yeah, it seems like it's right up my alley. Yeah.
It really, really is. You'll enjoy it quite a bit, and I don't think you have to like restrict it to Shocktober.
Gotcha.
Then I saw kind of a okay, not very great movie called Alone. And then I watched a 2018 slasher called Open 24 Hours. Okay. And I started to get a little fatigued, like 3 at the end, number 3 at the end of the day. And it's like the 4th day. And I'm like, am I going to see a lot of turds? Mm-hmm. And then on October 5th, I watched a movie called Slacks. And I just hated it so much. I hated it.
Yeah, it broke up.
Slacks.
Okay.
Slacks, 2 X's at the end. It's about a possessed, murderous pair of blue jeans.
Oh no! Okay,
so bad.
Wow.
I don't even want to go into what I didn't like about it. It's not worth it.
Sure.
And then on the 6th, I watched the Netflix original adaptation of a young adult horror novel called "There's Someone Inside Your House." And I think there's an audience for it, but I remember my main review was I'm too old for this shit.
Oh, wow. That's a bummer.
It's just not, I was too old.
Okay.
And then I saw an anniversary, 30th anniversary of The Evil Dead in theaters on October 7th. On October 8th, we watched and did a commentary on Halloween 2018.
Yes.
And then on the 9th, watched The Iron Giant with the kids. And then on the 10th, Amanda and I watched kind of a weird, trippy, more psychological than in-your-face horror movie called Come True. Which was actually Come True.
Come True, okay.
Not like dreams come true.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And it was good. It's a hard one to recommend, and I enjoyed it enough, but it was just a strange movie. So that's my first 10 days. Do you want to talk about kind of one of your favorites?
Yes. Do you want me to confine it to those first 10 days?
No, it can be whatever.
Okay, good, because all I saw in those first 10 days were Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O, and then Dune and the Last Duel. And Halloween Kills. So, and those were all good. Check out Patreon and everything. But I'll say this. Okay. I watched the 2001 movie 13 Ghosts. At the recommendation of a friend from work. So shout out to my friend from work, hi Jess, who made an appearance on the Halloween Kills commentary track on Patreon, actually. Earmuffs to Jess, but 13 Ghosts was not to my liking all that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I kind of liked it.
Really? It was.
Yeah.
It was fun. I did love seeing Matthew Lillard just. I don't want to say hamming it up, but like having just the most fun he's ever had in a movie.
Yeah.
So that is good. And as a hardcore fan of the 90s sitcom Wings, I love seeing Tony Shalhoub, in a starring role, having not watched Monk. But other than that, like it's very much an early 2000s like ghost story, supernatural horror movie. There were some nice homages to like The Shining and everything, but it was very much like a look at what we can do with visual effects and look how much they look
at
like.
what we can almost do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, turned me away from it and everything, but I thought it was solid. I thought it was solid. But just, it was solid, a little cheesy, but so yeah.
Well, worth watching, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So on the 11th, I watched again the Netflix streaming Till Death with Megan Fox.
Okay.
It was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine.
Did you ever see Gerald's Game? Sorry.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, much better than Till Death.
I figured, yeah. Okay.
Significantly better. Yeah.
Nice.
The 12th, I didn't watch anything because it's my wife's anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
The 13th, I watched The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which was surprisingly good. I like that a lot.
Okay, that's a Jim Cummings
on the 14th,
movie? Sorry.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
On the 14th, I watched Halloween Kills, and I'll save that. We'll kind of do a mini review of that here in a little bit.
Yep.
And then 15, I watched Eden Lake, which was okay.
Okay.
But I streamed it on Hoopla, and the stream wasn't very good.
That's a bummer.
I wasn't fully plugged into it.
Mm-hmm.
On the 17th, I watched The Sacrament, which is a Ty West movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I really love his House of the Devil. I did not love The Sacrament.
Ah, dang.
And then, I know, yeah. On the 18th, I watched another triple feature. I started out with Hunter x Hunter, which is another one of my favorites from this year.
Nice.
So Devon Sawa of Casper and Wild America fame plays like
following
this.
Me on Twitter on Tower Junkies. He's a Stephen King fan.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, I have no idea if he listens to Tower Junkies. I would not expect him to, but he does follow me on Tower Junkies.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, so he plays like a father of a family who just refuses to be modern and like lives in the woods and hunts for their food. And there's a wolf attacking them, and he goes to find the wolf. But then there's other crazy things happening.
Nice.
Really, really good. The ending was like totally unexpected.
Sweet. And let me stop you right here, because this is now you're in another triple feature on this day in your timeline and everything.
Yeah. Yep.
Where were you mentally in this thing? Like going into this, did you think like I'm going to do another triple feature, or was it okay, I gotta bump up those numbers?
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking that question. This was a planned triple feature day.
Okay.
They were both planned. So regardless of where I was mentally and emotionally, I knew that I was going to watch triple features on both of those days, the 4th and the 18th. The 18th was fall break, and both of my boys were in school, so I literally had the house to myself all day. A free day off of work. I didn't even have to take a day. It was just off.
Nice.
And that, you bring up an interesting point. Where was I mentally? Pretty low. I mean, Eden Lake was rough. The Sacrament was rough. I mean, I loved Halloween Kills, which we'll talk about, but that was Thursday. So Friday wasn't great. Saturday I didn't watch anything. Sunday was a bad movie.
Dang.
And I was like, I need something good.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, Hunter x Hunter, and I watched it in the morning, like 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
But I watched it in the basement. It's all dark in there.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Is that streaming anywhere?
Really? It is on. Yes, it is, and I watched it on Hulu.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, check it out. It'll surprise you.
Okay.
And then I watched 1997's Event Horizon.
Okay.
Which was really surprisingly good.
Was that your first time seeing it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd never seen it before.
I've seen it like once or twice. Another like, look at what we can almost do in the early 2000s in visual effects.
Very 1997.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 97. Yeah, even longer.
97. Yeah. And then the third one that day was a classic horror story on Netflix, and it's Polish.
Okay.
And it really thinks it's more clever than it actually is. And so it just wasn't great. And then on the 19th, I watched VHS 94.
Yes, the new one on Shudder.
Yeah, which was on Shudder, which is a mixed bag, as all of those VHS 94s are. I think 2 of them were pretty good. The Frame story was just abysmal. Just really, really terrible.
Yeah, VHS Viral kind of soured me on that.
That was a bad one. Yeah.
I desperately want to love that franchise. I want that franchise to be good, but it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I love the idea, and, a few, especially in 1 and 2, a couple of the segments are really good.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's just diminishing returns, I think. Well, not necessarily, because VHS 94 is better than...
Nice.
Viral. And then so on the 20th, it's not that I was feeling fatigue. It's hard to explain. I didn't feel good about my plan coming into this Shocktober. In 2019, I watched the first 40 of my favorites. And then in 2020, I watched the next 40. So it's like, did I really want to spend another year watching favorites? I think my thinking was because in most of 2021, I hadn't been watching as many movies.
Oh, yeah.
This year, because I went so crazy in 2020, that I had missed a lot of 2020 and 2021 horror movies.
Okay.
So, like, my goal was a mixture of favorites, a mixture of 2020, and a mixture of 2020. So I started to feel on about the 20th like aimless, like rudderless.
Okay.
That I like my plan wasn't very good, and I wasn't checking anything significant off a list, and it was kind of bumming me out. So I was like, what will be the most enjoyable experience? And I listened to a review of Halloween Kills, and I was just reading about Halloween Kills, and I was like, screw it. I'm going to subscribe to Peacock for a couple months and just watch Halloween Kills.
Nice.
So that brings me up to day 20, which is another set of 10. Halloween Kills. So I watched it for the second time. So we can talk about that if you want.
Gotcha. Yes. Let me actually, because I've got 3 that I want to talk about.
Sure.
So if you want to do, I'll do 2 of those, and then you can do your last 10 or 11 days.
Okay.
And then
Then
we can talk about Antlers and then Halloween Kills to wrap up.
Okay.
These will be brief, but one I mentioned before, Last Night in Soho. Have you seen that? Did you see that yet?
No, not yet. No.
Okay. So I will say it's about a woman who joins a fashion school in London, who she has some baggage associated with her. And she she enters this dream world of the 60s London, 60s Soho of this, and she sees this beautiful, like, actress or singer, and just as the movie unfolds, these visions and these things that she's kind of, like, using as a tether to, like, who she wants to be, she's realizing the very dark and disturbing and horrific truth to that underworld and everything. So having said that, the visual aspect of it, the way that Edgar Wright can communicate his vision is very appealing. It is very gorgeous. It's very unique, very interesting. But the story surrounding it, it's nothing. Like it's very, very pat and very I'm not going to say predictable or anything, but when it introduces these ideas and what I thought were themes about it, and then just kind of cast them aside for a more procedural kind of thing, and it didn't connect with me really at all, and it was just kind of a bummer. So like it's the type of story that I should have gotten gotten its hooks in me and everything, but then when you reach the end of it, it's like, okay, well, what is the significance of that? How did this tie to that? I was like trying to make concessions for it, like saying like, yeah, so it was kind of a bummer. But yeah,
that is a bummer.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Last Night in Soho. And then the other one I want to mention is actually a recommendation from one of our listeners, Biz. She mentioned that she had just watched Host from 2020. Yeah.
Right.
And she I think she said she liked it. So that was fresh in my mind, and I had Shudder because of Shocktober. And so I watched Host, and what did you think of it? Because I know you've seen it, have you?
I did. Okay. Yeah, I saw it like the weekend it came out.
Nice.
I need to see it again because I didn't want to be contrarian, but I remember it not working for me, and like the same way it seemed to work for everybody.
Yeah, a lot of people loved it, and for me, I can kind of get that, but also for whatever reason, I forgot or didn't realize that it was a lockdown movie. And I had this interesting experience where I'm watching this movie. It's, for those who don't know, Host is like this Screen Life, I guess, or Screen Live movie is the term now.
Yeah.
Found footage 2.0. That it's a group of people that are in lockdown and they are trying to do a virtual seance through Zoom. And so that's basically the concept. And that log line for it is pretty unique. It's interesting and everything, but also it's like the lockdown aspect of it just like didn't like it. It was a little too fresh in my mind to watch a lockdown movie, but also, aside from that, like there was nothing very interesting to me about this movie. There were some interesting things about it, like some interesting kind of scares, I guess, but it also is just a victim of that, oh, it's a false scare, oh, okay, now we've got you and everything like that. It's just it just really kind of seemed a little by the numbers, I guess.
Well, it was short, which is a feather in its cap.
Yeah, like 52 minutes or something.
Yeah. So I liked that, but yeah, I kind of felt the same. I was like, yeah, there were a few moments of genuine scares. But not overall impressed. I remember thinking like, what's the big deal? Like it was fine, but it was just of the moment. I mean, everybody, it was like having an opinion on it was like a thing. So whatever. That's fine. If people like it, that's great. Yeah, totally.
I felt like it didn't really have much to say. Like the most interesting thing about it was the closing credits. I thought that was just very unique the way that they did it. Which I guess I can spoil it. The closing credits are literally like it's a Zoom call and the call ends and the closing credits are just listing the participants on the call, and it's like the names and like the roles and everything. It's like that's clever. That's cute. I like that.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, but I liked it. I gave it 3 stars. I'll say that.
Sure.
Mike, first, before we begin with your last 10 or whatever. This is actually going to be kind of a break. Are you good on time?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Let's finish it. Let's go till 9:30.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Okay. So you now have days 21 to 31. Bring us in. Tell us.
Bring it home.
Bring it home. Like tell us what you felt, what you watched, and how it affected you.
Yeah, for sure. So I was on pace. I was, I think, ahead of pace a little bit, actually, except that I knew that I would not watch a movie on the 30th or the 29th because we were going camping. So I had to stay one ahead and then find and squeeze one in. So anyway, on the 21st, I saw Lamb, which is A24. And this is basically my review off of Letterboxd. I'm super liberal about what I'm willing to call horror.
Okay.
I'm loose with that. If you feel like it's a little spooky, then it's horror. This really, really strains that horror credibility.
Interesting.
It was not a horror movie. It was a
Wow.
weird, quirky folklore
Mm-hmm.
thing that I wish had more to say, but it is a cute-ish, eerie family drama / folklore fantasy, and then there's kind of a twisty ending, but it is
Okay.
not scary. And I'm not saying that in like a manly, hubris,
Yeah.
bravado. It's not even
Not
scary.
even
It's
scary.
not even scary. It's
Wow.
not a horror movie. It is not a horror. Do not watch Lamb expecting to be like scared or put off or unsettled or anxious or anything.
Okay.
Weird movie.
So, with it not being technically horror or anything, as a movie, as folklore and everything, all that, would you say that it was bad?
What is my review? Hold on. What did I say? I said, I'm not saying it's bad, but I wouldn't ever watch it again.
I love it. I love it so much.
That's in the review. Yep. I didn't ever watch it again. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
It was bad, though. It was bad.
That's a bummer.
I disliked it. Yeah, it was a waste of time. Then I watched the Gillian Jacobs star Come Play from 2020.
Yeah. So, an anecdote about a podcast, Comedy Bang Bang, Gillian Jacobs does a lot of guest spots on it, and she did a guest spot when that movie came out, and like her and Scott Aukerman have a rapport and everything, and like he kept referring to it throughout the episode whenever she was promoting it, because the structure of it is like the beginning of it, they do the promotion and everything, and then they do the wacky alternative comedy improv stuff. But like throughout that, he kept referring to it as Come Play. And the reason I bring that up is because then on the year, like the best ofs clips show at the end of the year, he kind of said like, yeah, like the publicist for the movie was on the call there that whole time. And I guess like she didn't understand like what the show was, and like so I'm just like, that's amazing. But anyway, Come Play.
That's really funny. Yeah, so Come Play. Also not the worst ever, but not good.
Okay.
And then I saw Kevin Bacon in You Should Have Left. Also not great. Again, I just like checking things off my 2020 list.
Gotcha.
And then on the 24th, I watched H2O.
Oh, nice.
Which we kind of texted about.
Yeah.
And it was fine, but it didn't work for me the way it has in the past. And I think I'm so pleased with the tone of and execution of 2018 and Kills.
Yeah.
That I think H2O, as much as I love it and as nostalgic as I am for it, it's an inferior movie, I think, to those movies.
It's like we talked it out and everything, but it is very much a product of its time. Yeah. And that's kind of, I wrestled with that with the commentary track and everything, which I kind of recommend checking out the commentary track, Mike, if you want to listen to that one in particular.
Yeah.
It's
both nostalgic in a good way, obviously.
Yeah.
Because it's of its time, but also a bit of a detriment that it's so stuck in its time.
Oh yeah. And like I was pretty steeped in like watching the other Halloween movies and everything for Patreon and in preparation for Kills and watching Kills. Did I watch Kills before that? H2O? I don't think I did. No, I watched H2O before Kills. But anyway, like in preparation for Kills and everything, so I had like the structure, I had like the mythology of Halloween in my head, and like watching H2O, like right off the bat, I'm like, oh yeah, this is in California? Okay.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it doesn't even feel like Haddonfield.
Oh yeah.
Michael is absent from the movie for like 30 minutes in the middle.
Yeah. And for all of people's claims that like it doesn't make sense in Halloween 2018 why he goes after Laurie, which we discussed in the commentary,
which, again,
is not a thing.
Yeah.
But like also H2O is
How
like,
pleased were you watching Halloween Kills
when they name checked that?
highlighted that?
Yes.
Oh my god, I was so like I fist bumped in the thing. Part of me was like, part of me was excited, obviously, because we were right. But then part of me was like, they're being a little didactic. Like they are telling the audience who didn't get that in the first movie, you guys didn't get that.
Oh yeah.
So that was awesome.
It was great. I had such a grin on my face when that line happened.
Yeah. Did you think of me?
I did. I did.
I love it. I love it. So H2O. Anyway, H2O. Well, let's get back to that. The 25th, I watched The Platform, which I really liked a lot. That was really good. And then I watched 2020. Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. Really terrible.
Okay.
And then I watched a movie. Students, if you're listening, close your ears for just a second. It's a movie called Porno. And it's like a horror comedy /
porno,
sexy, whatever. And it's not good at either any of those three elements. Really bad. Really shockingly bad. And then on the 28th, I saw Antlers.
Okay.
On the big screen, and I would like to talk about it, but I feel like we're running out of time.
Yeah.
I liked it. I feel like the atmosphere was interesting. The creature was cool. The scary-ish moments were interesting, but they tried to like have their cake and eat it too with all the different themes. Like there were 4 different themes, and none of them were all that strong.
Yeah.
And I feel like a movie about Native American folklore, like there should be a little more indigenous characters and characterization in the movie. And there's just none of it. Like the one Native American character, his entire monologue is in the trailer. Like that's really? It. That's all you see. So that was a little disappointing. I liked it. I enjoyed myself, but it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, just to touch on Antlers real quick, I'll just read my thing. I saw it in the theater yesterday, and this was a movie that like I saw the trailer for a year ago, and I was like, this looks cool, and I like what is it, Scott Cooper? I feel like I and Tiny are like 2 of the only people I know of that like really liked whatever that movie was with Christian Bale that he did, but. Antlers, like I was watching, I was like,
the furnace,
out of the furnace,
out of the furnace, yeah.
But my Letterboxd review for Antlers was there's some impressive creature work in Antlers, that's for sure. However, everything else is pretty disappointing. Character backstories and trauma are not detailed enough to be a strong character study. For the movie to be a strong character study, it's not subtle enough to be a metaphor for surviving abuse or trauma. And it's too dull to be an intriguing procedural. It's just kind of dumb all around. And I didn't even touch on the Native American folklore stuff of it because it is so scant in it. It is so
nothing. Yeah. On a myth that's literally Native American myth.
Right.
The Wendigo come if they hadn't. They literally say the word Wendigo in the movie. So it's not like it's vaguely reminiscent of Wendigo folklore. It's literally that, and they did nothing to touch on that culture. I wasn't so harsh to say that it was dumb, because I was entertained, but disappointed. My hopes were pretty high, and so many balls were dropped.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, when you talk, like the movie starts with, when the creature is angry that we've like taken from the land,
right?
And then it's like, okay, they're building a mine, so this is going to be about pollution. But then the guy is an addict, and so it's like, okay, well then it's about addiction. Oh, but then he's abuses his kids, and also Kerry Russell was abused, so this is about abuse. Let's see how this pays off,
right?
And
it doesn't.
Nothing pays off that way. Yeah.
Also, throughout the movie, whenever like the titular Antlers, when the monster was shown and everything, I kept thinking like, I just watched Midnight Mass, and like Midnight Mass is about like a creature on like terrorizing people in a much better, like vastly better way.
Yeah.
And so
well,
just
the creature design in Antlers is reminiscent of the one in the movie The Ritual, which is a far superior movie.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I got home that night. I knew that the next day was like our Halloween day at work, and that we were also camping, so I had to double up. So I watched Rob Zombie's Halloween, which...
You poor bastard.
Poor fucking bastard. Yeah. And there's an R word in there somewhere. Anyway, I still feel like, man, the further the more that movie ages, Rob Zombie's Halloween, the more that it feels like 3 segments. There's the early stuff that's Rob Zombie stuff. There's the remake of the original in the middle 30, and then the last 20 minutes of the movie are new Rob Zombie stuff. And like my feelings about each kind of like evolve and like it's a puzzle that I can slide. There's an abacus about how I feel about those 3 portions of it. And on this watch, the redo of John Carpenter's version, the middle 30, I liked a lot. I liked it more than I remembered it. Yeah.
Okay.
But then the Rob Zombie's vision parts, I hated. I hated the first 30 minutes of it. Like I'm watching, like it had been a while since I watched it, trying to remember, like, I know that the last time I watched it, I didn't love it, but why didn't I love it?
Right.
And then I watched, obviously, the first 30, and I'm like, I hate this. This makes me feel bad watching this.
Yeah.
And then you like the middle 30, and the last 20 are boring. Anyway, and then Halloween rolled around. Didn't watch anything on Friday or Saturday. Halloween rolled around, and we watched Trick or Treat.
Nice.
Which is just kind of the ultimate
return to form.
Return to form. Yeah. So Halloween Kills. Can you give your review in 3 minutes?
Yes. Okay. So Halloween Kills. Check out my commentary track, of course. But so the first time I watched it, I really was I felt like just really put off by the kind of mob mentality kind of subplot and everything. And I remember coming out of the movie feeling like that took up so much more time in the plot than it really did. When I watched it for the commentary track, I was like, it's like 15 minutes of like a 2-hour movie or whatever, or hour 45, whatever. But I liked it more. I think that it's setting the stage for a really interesting conclusion with Halloween Ends. And I'm on board. I liked it. Doesn't really beat Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, so Matt and I had fun that weekend. I don't know if it was fun, but it was angry.
Therapeutic.
Just kind of like texting each other retweets and pictures of just some of the ridiculous hot takes about Halloween Kills over the weekend. And for the record, I really enjoyed it quite a bit. It's at least in my top 4 of the Halloween movies, at least in my top 4. And if I'm really bending over backwards to be as objective as possible, and I'll get angry about this if you want, I'm trying to be objective. It is at least a middle of the road Halloween movie. And some of the people like debating if it's worse than Resurrection.
I can't.
I wanted to quit the internet.
Yeah.
I just was like, this is insufferable. They are insufferable.
Oh yeah.
Arguing that this is worse than Resurrection. I couldn't believe it. I just was like, If you think this is worse than Resurrection, what do you want? Right. What could you like? I mean, like we revere Halloween because we've loved it forever. It's a massive property now, obviously, but they're not great movies. And Halloween Kills is a pretty darn good horror movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, what the hell could you possibly want?
Right.
To rank it higher than Curse of Michael Myers or Halloween 5, which I also think is abysmal. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I will I don't agree that Halloween 3 is good. I still, I've said on this podcast that I think Halloween 3 is a bad movie.
Yeah, it's
but
still perplexing.
If you're trying to be avant-garde or contrarian or whatever, I'll even give you Halloween 3.
Okay.
If you want to put that in your list, I'll give you Halloween 3 as better than Halloween Kills. I disagree with you, but I'm willing to meet you at a place where I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
But to suggest that this is worse than Halloween 5, which is incomprehensible, that it's worse than 6, Michael Myers, which is a mess, and worse than Resurrection, which is an embarrassment to the franchise.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
It's unfathomable.
Yeah, anyone saying that it's worse than Resurrections either hasn't seen Resurrections in a while, or I don't want to say it. Is someone I don't know that I could take them seriously. I just genuinely can't. Because
I know.
Resurrections, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion and everything, obviously. But my kind of go-to thing with Halloween Resurrections and versus Halloween Kills is that both of those movies include or feature prominently the Myers house. Only one of them incorporates a very cheesy, stupid-ass webcam reality show subplot, and only one of them has a woman scream and a glass bottle just shatter. Like, it just like little things like that. It's objectively a bad movie. It's a bad cashing in movie.
How can you walk out of a movie with characters like Big John and Little John,
right,
and their whole sequence, and say that's worse than Busta Rhymes?
Right. Oh yeah.
Just stop. Stop. I thought I was over it, Matt, but I'm not.
I'm loving this so much.
I think you guys, if you're still listening to this episode, I think you can hear the venom. Right. I feel so strongly about this.
Yeah.
And these are people who have, jobs in the horror community. I mean, these are people, they're not higher ups, but they write for magazines. Yeah. They have podcasts that are part of networks
that are far more popular than anything I've ever done.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, exactly. These are people with credentials.
Right.
And multiple people are saying that it is potentially the worst of the franchise. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's insane. It
is insane.
Yeah, it's indicative of the culture we're in, where it's
fandom.
Fandom. Everyone competing to have the most outrageous, hottest take imaginable. It's ridiculous. But we loved it. Halloween Kills.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so I guess I could talk about what I liked about Halloween Kills. I liked it quite a bit. Watching it the second time, the scenes felt very like they were set pieces. Like they would give a little story, a little lore, a little mob stuff, and then they're like, all right, let's do a Michael set piece, which I think is missing from some of the ones that are lame.
Sure.
Like H2O doesn't have great set pieces of Michael sprinkled throughout. So like, even if you don't love the mob stuff, which I kind of did, they're not likable people, but that's the point.
Right.
Like,
I warmed
Tommy
up to
Doyle is not likable. He's annoying and ultimately wrong and stupid.
I've got to say, point. Yeah, I've got to say, I feel very embarrassed to say this, but you shared with me the meme from one of
Evil
the vacation movies.
Russ.
Yeah. I was I laughed at it. I'm like, oh, that's really funny. I swear to you, was not. It was like 5 or 6 days later. I was like, oh, Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah, I sent that to a couple people, and I love you to death. And no offense, you gave me a good laugh. Dustin responded, and he was the only person who I was like, Dustin gets that for sure. But yeah, I sent it to another friend, and he was like, yeah, that's an interesting Venn diagram. And I was like, it's not. It's him.
Yeah,
I really like that. I really liked that a lot.
It was really good. It was one of those great things where like I laughed at it genuinely. I thought like, oh, that's funny, just because it's funny because it's just a phrase and everything. And then like I got like just retroactive, just good humor out of it because I was like, oh, I'm an idiot, but that's really clever.
Yeah. I laughed pretty hard at that.
That's good.
But anyway, I liked the set pieces. I thought it was scary. I remember reading somebody saying like you didn't get the Halloween feeling from it, like you didn't get the crisp autumn leaves at dusk, and I was like, it's nighttime. What are you talking about? What?
Yeah.
It's literally the entire thing. It takes place in 2 hours at night. What the hell?
God.
These people are insufferable.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I liked the setting.
Me too.
The ending was upsetting to me in a positive way, in an effective way. It is interesting that they barely used Jamie Lee Curtis. I can understand being disappointed by that, but
sure.
I think it sets up for an intriguing part 3.
Same.
And again, every sequence with Michael was just fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Such a cool, like, new stabbing entry points, armpit stabs and eyeball stabs. And and
so great.
Dustin texted me afterwards, after he saw it for the first time, and he goes, if we were married, who would be Big John and who would be Little John? So, I'm Little John, he's Big John.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for you guys.
Yeah. So I loved those characters so much. I thought they were I thought they were really interesting.
They were great as a kind of, am I using this word right? A nice salve? I don't know. Yeah, a nice salve to like the kind of a little bit questionable humor of 2018. Like I'm thinking of the cops in the car scene that we talked about in the commentary. This was more natural in terms of like kind of counterbalancing the horror.
I agree. It counterbalanced the horror in an effective way, but also realistic. Like you get the sense that, before the events of this night, like Little John is funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Does that make sense? Like that they're just kind of naturally funny.
Oh yeah.
People.
It's good chemistry.
It's good chemistry.
Yeah. I thought I was going to say something else, but I can't remember. But anything else? I know that we're running low on time, and I apologize.
I think I could go longer on Halloween Kills, but we are running out of time, and that was my Shocktober. I felt really good about it. Yeah.
Good. I will say I'll lead us into the end of this this way. Since you watched a majority of movies that you watched for the first time, are any of these movies going to be in rotation for future Shocktobers where you want to just re-watch stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. The two best ones, and I'm going to I'll say 3 best ones, because I'll throw Malignant in there, even though I saw it in September. It are Malignant, Saint Maud, and Hunter x Hunter. Okay, if I'm playing around at the bottom of my top 100, you need to give a movie a couple years before it really cracks, the top 50 or so.
Oh yeah.
I think there's an easy way in to my top 100. Certainly that bottom 10. Not to discredit these movies, but to set, because it's still fresh.
Yeah.
There's an easy way in, I think, for Malignant, Saint Maud, and Hunter x Hunter into that list for sure. Yeah.
Very cool.
I liked them quite a bit.
Sweet. Awesome. The Paranormal Activity movies are not going to make mine. I will say, kind of a final thought on the Paranormal Activity movies is that I feel like in a post Hereditary world, like having like that kind of movie in terms of like demonic possession or in like lore and history and stuff like that, that really just exposes, because Hereditary is like one of the most emotionally just horrific movies I've seen. Hard stop.
Yeah. Period.
And
retweet.
Right. And to have that in my mind when I'm watching a Paranormal Activity movie that is by design a gimmick that is seven entries into just a gimmick that shies away from everything that's good about the first one, I just can't. Like, I just can't abide it at all. It was like, yeah. My final thought on that is that watching those out of context with the whole franchise, it surprised me how much, like, going into the marked ones, the Ghost Dimension, and Next of Kin, just how tired the found footage format felt. Because, like, that was like the first time I'd seen a found footage movie in a while, and like I was already bored.
It's on its deathbed.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure.
Yep. And then someone's gonna film it while it's asleep and find that there are demons in the house. Yeah. Should we close out this episode of the Obsessive Viewer podcast?
Let's do it. Put a bow on it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for joining me.
The jack-o'-lantern.
Nice.
We're taking off the lid. Let's blow out the candle.
Nice. Do you think Halloween Ends is going to open with the jack-o'-lantern crumbling?
Chills right here.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah, they're certainly going to play on that motif.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I can't wait. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and play us out. Thank you guys so much for listening and for supporting us and everything. Check out Patreon for tons of content and everything. We'll be back next week with something else, I'm sure. But yeah, until then, thank you guys so much for listening. Mike, I love you. Thank you so much for joining me on this odyssey through Shocktober movies.
Always.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.
This podcast was edited and produced by Matt Hurt and presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find links to all of our shows at ObsessiveViewer.com/podcasts. For exclusive bonus content, including reviews, commentaries, and B-roll episodes, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/ObsessiveViewer. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.